It was late at night, the kind of night where the rain didn't just fall, it crashed against the sidewalks like the sky was breaking open. Rivercrest Medical Center sat glowing under the storm, its glass doors reflecting flashing ambulance lights long before the vehicle even arrived. The automatic doors slid apart with a sharp hiss as paramedics barreled into the lobby, pushing a stretcher that bumped and rattled across the polished floor. On the stretcher lay a woman wearing what used to be expensive designer clothes, now torn, soaked, and streaked with blood. Her face had lost almost all color, her breathing shallow and uneven. She looked like someone on the edge of slipping away. A nurse jogged beside the stretcher, trying her best to keep pressure on a bleeding wound. The injured woman's hand suddenly shot up and grabbed the nurse's wrist with surprising desperation. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking as pain seized her body. "Just make it fast. Don't let it hurt." Her words trembled more than her hands. "Try to relax, ma'am. You're safe now," the nurse lied gently, because even she wasn't sure. No trauma surgeon was waiting. No emergency doctor was in sight. The hallway was nearly empty except for one man sprinting in from the far end, wearing a navy blue hospital security jacket, dark with rainwater around the shoulders, boots echoing across the floor. He stopped right beside the stretcher, eyes instantly sharp. "What happened?" he demanded, breath low but controlled. "Car crash," the nurse answered quickly. "We think internal bleeding. Blood pressure keeps dropping." Before she could finish, the man pulled off his security jacket and carefully draped it over the woman, not out of protocol, but compassion. His voice softened into something calm, solid, and strangely reassuring. "You're going to be all right," he told her quietly. "I'm right here." The flickering earlights caught his wrist as he held her hand. There, half-faded but unmistakable, were a series of tattooed numbers, military medic identification, not decorative, not accidental. These were the kind of marks carried by someone who had seen more than he ever wanted to speak about. The injured woman, even half-conscious, noticed the tattoo and froze like her mind recognized something important before she could even name it. The man holding her hand was Michael Cole, 38, former Army combat medic, single father, now working night shift security at Rivercrest. Someone who used to run into explosions for strangers, now patrolling hallways so his daughter could sleep without fear of losing another parent. Every night at 10 p.m. he clocked in. Every night he walked the same halls. Every night he kept the hospital safe without anyone noticing. And every single night, his 8-year-old daughter Lily sat in the hospital cafeteria, drawing hearts and stars and little stick figures while waiting for him. She stayed until sunrise, until her dad's shift ended and he took her home for breakfast. Most people at Rivercrest didn't know Michael's story. They didn't know he'd carried wounded soldiers on his back while bullets cut the air. They didn't know he'd once held the lives of entire platoons in his hands. They didn't know how many nights he'd stayed awake hearing echoes of men calling for help that never came again. To them he was just Mike, the security guy, the man who helps when we're short-staffed, the guy who brings extra blankets to patients, the one who always says yes when everyone else is tired. He never asked anyone to understand who he was. He never asked for recognition. He never asked for thanks. But tonight, the past rushed back to him like it had been waiting as the rainstorm pounded outside. Michael's radio crackled earlier with an urgent voice. "Incoming trauma, severe car accident, 88 3 minutes." Without thinking, he had headed to the entrance. Something in the tone had told him this was bad. Now he stood over the injured woman, and he recognized her. Madison Blake, CEO of Blake Innovations, youngest billionaire in the state, sharp as steel, cold as marble, feared by the entire corporate world. But now, she looked fragile, small, breakable. The nurse panicked. "Dr. Patel is stuck in traffic. He isn't here yet." Michael didn't waste a second. "Let me help," he said immediately. "You're just..." She started to protest. His voice cut through hers like a blade, firm, steady, practiced. "I know what I'm doing. Trust me." He moved like instinct, like muscle memory, like someone who had done this under gunfire. His hands hovered over Madison's body for only a split second before identifying every danger. Pulse, weak, breathing, shallow, pupils, slow, wound on her arm, heavy bleeding. Her eyes cracked open, the world around her blurry and distorted from pain. "Please," she begged, trembling, "just make it fast. I don't want the pain." Michael leaned in closer, his voice lowering to something gentle but unshakable. "Not tonight," he said. You'll see the sunrise. The fear in her eyes flickered just a little as if she believed him for reasons she didn't understand. Her hand moved weakly, reaching for anyone. Michael took it in his. Stay with me, he told her. Listen to my voice. Keep breathing. He guided her breath, like he had done for wounded soldiers. Slow, in and out. That's it. He kept her conscious by talking. What's your name? Her voice faltered. Madison. Okay, Madison, I'm Michael. You're hurt, but you're going to be okay. I need you to stay awake. The doctor's almost here. He controlled the bleeding with firm pressure, stabilized her neck, monitored her breathing with more without a single piece of medical equipment. 7 minutes passed. Then Dr. Patel burst through the ER doors, hair wet, face tense. He rushed toward the stretcher, skidded to a stop, and blinked at the monitors. Madison's vitals were stabilizing. He turned to Michael, stunned. You did this. Michael shrugged slightly. Just kept her steady. No, you saved her life, the doctor murmured, but Michael didn't respond. He stepped back into silence, retreating from the scene as the team wheeled Madison toward surgery. Her head turned weakly until she spotted him again. Their eyes locked for a moment. She mouthed 2 silent words. Thank you. Michael nodded once. Then he disappeared down the dim corridor like he was never there. The next morning, sunlight poured into the private recovery suite on the top floor of Rivercrest Medical Center. It washed over the crisp white sheets, the IV stand, and the woman lying motionless beneath layers of bandages and medical tape. After hours of darkness, the warmth stung her eyelids until she blinked awake slowly, her head throbbing with a deep, pulsing ache. Madison Blake inhaled sharply as the pain in her ribs flared. Didn't know where she was. Then fragments from the night before came rushing back to her, the violent screech of metal, the blinding crash, the crushing pressure against her chest, the panic flooding her veins, and then a voice, deep, steady, calm. You're going to see the sunrise. She remembered a hand gripping hers, warm and grounding. She remembered someone talking her through every breath, pulling her back from unconsciousness. Someone strong enough to anchor her. Someone who wasn't a doctor. Who was he? Her throat was dry and rough as she whispered, "Hello." A nurse entered the room carrying a tablet. "Oh, good morning, Ms. Blake. You're awake." She checked Madison's vitals and smiled. "You were very lucky. I remember someone helping me last night," Madison said, staring at the ceiling. "Before the doctor came." "Oh yes." The nurse nodded brightly. "Michael helped stabilize you. He kept you conscious until Dr. Patel arrived." "Michael," she repeated. "Doctor." No, the nurse said with a small laugh. "The security guard." Madison froze so suddenly her heart monitor skipped a beat. "Security guard," she whispered, stunned. Double quotes. "Yes. Michael Cole. He's worked here for years. Quiet guy, very kind. A security guard. Had kept her alive. A billionaire CEO rescued by a night shift guard." The idea seemed almost surreal. Before she could process it, the door burst open and her assistant Ryan hurried inside, holding her phone, laptop, and a stack of documents. "Ms. Blake, thank God you're awake. The board wants an update. The media already knows about the accident." Madison rubbed her temples. "What are they saying?" "That it was a single vehicle crash. They're asking if anyone else was involved." And he hesitated. "Some reporters are asking who saved you." She stiffened. Ryan continued, "We should prepare a statement. Damage control, so things don't spiral." She stared blankly at the window, watching sunlight stretch across the floor like a promise fulfilled. "Tell them," she said slowly, "that the medical team handled everything professionally." Ryan nodded rapidly. "Should we mention the security guard?" "No," Madison snapped. "No names, no attention, no distractions." He blinked at her, caught off guard by the sharpness in her tone. "Understood," he said quietly. But even as he left, Madison's chest tightened. She couldn't understand why, but something about hiding what happened felt wrong. Hours later, Michael walked through the hospital, starting his next shift. He moved through the hall the same way he always did, calm, quiet, unnoticed. A young nurse stopped him. "Michael, Ms. Blake was asking about you this morning." He paused, a faint crease forming on his forehead. "Is she doing all right?" "She's stable now. You should go up and talk to her. I think she wants to thank you." Michael shook his head gently. "She's got enough to deal with. I've got work to do." But as he turned a corner, fate intervened. Madison was standing near the elevator with a crutch, leaning heavily on one side. Ryan was beside her, scrolling through his tablet and talking rapidly. When Madison lifted her head and saw Michael, she fell completely silent. He gave a polite nod and started walking away. "Wait," she called out softly. He stopped, but didn't turn until she approached halfway. "You're Michael, right?" she said, trying to find the right words. "Yes, ma'am," he replied. She swallowed, her voice slightly shaky, not from pain, but something unfamiliar to her, discomfort. "I wanted to thank you. For last night, you saved my life." "Just doing my job," he said calmly. A heavy silence settled between them. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice, but still loud enough for Michael to hear. "Ms. Blake, PR says it's best if we don't mention what happened. We don't want unnecessary narratives, or the media twisting things." Madison hesitated. Then her expression tightened, the intimidating CEO returning to her face. "I appreciate what you did," she said slowly, "but I'd prefer if you kept last night between us. I don't want rumors or attention. I'm sure you understand." Michael's expression didn't shift. His voice stayed calm. "I wasn't planning to talk about it." "Good," she said with a stiff nod. "I don't like owing people." Michael held her gaze for a long, silent moment. Something unreadable flickered in his eyes, something that made Madison feel unexpectedly small. Then he said softly, "Then don't, ma'am. Just live better." He walked away without looking back. Madison stood frozen. That simple sentence hit her harder than the crash itself. Later that afternoon, Nurse Kara found Michael sipping coffee in the break room. "That was cold," she muttered, folding her arms. "What Ms. Blake said to you. Completely ungrateful." Michael shrugged. "Doesn't matter. Real help doesn't need publicity." "It should matter," Kara insisted. "She should appreciate you." Michael gave a faint, tired smile. "I'm not here for appreciation. You're too good for this place," she whispered. "No, this is where Lily needs me." That evening, when Michael went to the cafeteria, Lily came running toward him with glowing excitement. Dad, guess what?" He knelt to her level. "What happened?" "My teacher said Ms. Blake's company donated a brand new computer lab to our school. We're getting tablets too." Michael looked through the hospital's glass doors. Outside, a sleek black car rolled away. Inside, Madison sat staring out the window. Their eyes met one last time across the distance. She looked away first. "Dad," Lily asked, tugging his sleeve, "is she a good person?" Michael exhaled slowly. "I think she pays her debts differently." "What does that mean?" Lily asked. He lifted her into his arms. "It means people say thank you in different ways. Some use words, some use actions, and some—" He paused. Need time to choose which one matters." Lily hugged his neck. "I think both matter." Michael kissed her forehead. "You're smarter than most adults." He didn't look back as they left, but a small part of him wondered if Madison Blake would remember him once her wounds healed. A month later, Rivercrest hosted its annual charity gala. It was funded by the Blake Foundation and attended by politicians, surgeons, philanthropists, and media personalities. The grand hall sparkled with chandeliers, champagne, and camera flashes. Michael stood near the back in his security uniform, blending into the walls the way he always did. Then Madison entered. She wore a midnight blue gown, moving through the crowd with elegance and power. Her hair was perfectly styled, her posture impeccable. Tonight, she didn't look like an injured patient. She looked like the CEO who owned boardrooms. She didn't notice Michael. Why would she? He was invisible again. The event unfolded with speeches about expanding healthcare resources. When Madison stepped on stage, applause thundered across the hall. "Tonight," she announced with a poised smile, "the Blake Foundation pledges $5 million toward expanding Rivercrest's emergency care services." People applauded again, but suddenly, the lights flickered once, twice, and then the fire alarm shrieked across the hall. Gasps erupted. People panicked. A voice shouted from the left side of the room. Someone collapsed. "We need help." The crowd scattered in confusion. Michael didn't hesitate. He moved through the chaos like water slipping through cracks, focused, intentional. On the floor lay an elderly man, his skin blue, eyes rolled back. People backed away, screaming for a doctor. Michael dropped to his knees beside the man, airway blocked, pulse absent. Without waiting, he began CPR. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. "Come on," he muttered under his breath. "Don't do this." 45 seconds, 1 minute. 1 minute 30. Finally the man gasped, coughed. His eyelids fluttered open. The crowd exhaled as if they had all been holding their breath together. Michael kept his voice steady. "Sir, stay still. Help is coming. You're okay now." Paramedics rushed the man onto a stretcher. Michael stood, brushing dirt off his knees, preparing to slip back into the background, until he felt eyes burning into him. He looked up. Madison stood at the edge of the stage, frozen, wide-eyed, stunned. She had seen every move he made. The calm, the precision, the confidence of someone who'd done this under fire. Her assistant Ryan whispered urgently beside her, but she didn't hear him. She couldn't look away from Michael. Something inside her shifted. For the first time, she saw him. After the gala ended and the last guests drifted out, Madison Blake didn't stay for interviews or applause. Something inside her had shifted. She walked with sharp, determined steps toward the administrative wing of Rivercrest Medical Center, her heels echoing loudly on the marble floor. Inside the HR office, staff shot up from their seats as she entered. "I need a personnel file," Madison said tightly. "Who's the HR manager?" asked. "Michael Cole, security." The manager hesitated. "Ms. Blake, personnel files. I fund half this hospital," she cut in. "Bring it." Minutes later, she sat alone in a small meeting room with a folder placed in front of her. She opened it, tanned, her breath caught. Michael Cole, age 38, night security officer, former U.S. Army combat medic, 2009-2019. Awards: Silver Cross for Valor, Purple Heart, Army Commendation Medal. Discharge, family hardship. She turned the page and found a yellowed newspaper clipping. Medic saves 23 soldiers during ambush. A photo showed Michael 10 years younger, dragging a wounded man through smoke and chaos. Determined, fearless, selfless. She stared at the file, remembering how she had asked him to stay quiet, to stay invisible. Heat rose in her chest, humiliation, guilt, and something deeper. She closed the folder slowly. She knew what she had to do. The next morning, Madison called a press conference without notifying her PR team. Reporters flooded the room. Cameras flashed. Her own staff whispered anxiously, "Ms. Blake, we don't have talking points. I don't need them." She stepped up to the podium. The room fell silent. "Last month," she began, "I was in a car accident. I nearly lost my life." Soft murmurs rippled through the crowd. The person who saved me wasn't a surgeon, or a paramedic, or anyone with a prestigious title. She paused. He was a father, a single dad, working nights as a security guard. Journalists stiffened. "His name is Michael Cole, and this world deserves to know who he truly is." At that exact second, Michael sat in the hospital cafeteria, helping Lily with homework. His phone buzzed. "Turn on the TV." He looked up. Madison Blake appeared on screen, speaking about him. "Michael Cole is a decorated combat medic," she said. "He saved dozens of soldiers under fire. He received the Silver Cross for Valor." Lily's eyes widened. "Dad, that's you." Michael stared at the screen, stunned. "I asked him to stay quiet," Madison continued, "because I didn't know the hero standing in front of me. I didn't know what he had sacrificed." She swallowed, looking directly into the camera. "Michael, I owe you more than I can ever say. Thank you." The room erupted in applause. Just before leaving the podium, she whispered to the camera, "I'm sorry." Michael exhaled softly. Maybe some wounds did heal. In the following days, job offers overwhelmed him 3 times his salary, relocation packages, corporate perks. He turned them all down, except one. The Blake Foundation's offer came directly from Madison. A part-time role as safety and medical preparedness advisor, good pay, flexible hours, time with Lily. He accepted. 3 days later, Madison walked into the security office. Michael looked up as she knocked. "Michael," she said gently. "Ms. Blake, please." "Just Madison." She stepped closer, closing the door behind her. "I wanted to apologize," she said. "Not the public one. This one." "You already apologized," he said quietly. "That was for the world," she replied. "This one is for you. I judged you without knowing who you were." "I don't need recognition," he said. "You just didn't see the whole picture." "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked softly. "About your service." He gave a faint smile. "Heroes are the ones who never made it home. I did." Her eyes glistened, but she nodded. "Will you take the advisor position?" He thought of Lily. "If it gives her stability." "Yes." Madison smiled with relief. "Good." because we truly need you. Over the next weeks, they worked side by side reviewing protocols, conducting trainings, and planning emergency responses. Professional meetings turned into personal conversations. Walls she spent years building began breaking down. Michael talked about losing his wife. Madison opened up about a childhood full of pressure and expectations. Losing his wife, Madison opened up about a childhood full of pressure and expectations. They understood each other in ways no one else ever had. One afternoon, Madison walked past a community park near the hospital. Children were playing. Laughter filled the air. Then she spotted Lily on the swing with a younger girl crying beside her. Lily rummaged through her tiny backpack and pulled out a cartoon bandage. "Hold still," she said softly, placing it on the girl's scraped knee. "All better." Madison approached with a smile. "You're a little healer too, huh?" "Dad says helping people is our family job," Lily said proudly. Madison really laughed, and he's right. Then Lily looked up. "You're the lady Dad saved, right? From TV." Madison knelt. "Yes, that was me." "For me," Lily whispered. "For you," Madison said. "You're going to help a lot of people someday." Lily threw her arms around her neck. Madison hugged her back tightly. "Good," Lily said seriously. "Dad feels sad when he's not helping people." The words hit Madison straight in the heart. She reached into her purse and handed Lily a small silver bracelet engraved, "Be brave, little healer." That night, Michael found an envelope under his office door. Inside was a handwritten note. "Michael, you saved me twice. From death, and from myself. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself, Madison." He folded it carefully and slipped it into his pocket. Some people arrive like storms, others like sunrise. He wasn't sure which she was yet, but he wanted to find out. A year later, under clear morning skies, the call center for community healing opened free care for families, veterans, and anyone in need. The crowd was huge. Reporters, families, former soldiers wiping their eyes. Madison stood on stage in a simple gray suit. "A year ago," she said, "a man saved my life. Not because he had to, because helping is who he is. Michael Cole. Please join me." Michael stepped up, shy and uncomfortable. "I'm not great with microphones," he said softly. "I'm better with heartbeats." The audience chuckled warmly. "But I've learned something. Healing isn't just for the injured. It's for everyone brave enough to keep trying." He gazed back at her. "Some pain," he murmured, "is worth feeling." Her smile trembled. "Yes, it is." Her hands shook as she pinned it to Michael's chest. "You told me I'd see the sunrise," she whispered, "and I've seen so many because of you." She looked up at him, eyes shining. "Don't fade away again. The world needs people like you." A beat. "I need people like you." Applause thundered as sunlight poured through the windows behind them. A father, a daughter, a woman learning how to feel again. A new beginning.